a teacher, so I'm very good at keeping time. When we start, we start. As I tell my students, it's 1:15, let's start. Now it's 2:30, so it kind of doesn't work. Hello everyone, my name is Michael Lundsveen, and I work at a university in Norway. I'm an academic, but I'm also a big nerd, so everything that has to do with AI is just my bread and butter. I teach AI, generative AI in specific, at a university in Norway. I live in Belgium, so you can imagine that's a little challenging. But I mostly teach digitally. And I also do research within this topic. I have a lot of research projects going now, how to use this the best possible way, and also what's the problems with this technology. And the name of my talk, I made the name before I made the content, Practical Gen AI Beyond the Hype and Existential Dread, because that's what we see a lot of these days. It's either, this is super cool, or no, the Terminator is coming to kill us. I'm going to talk about that and actually what we really have today, and some challenges and some potential use cases for developers. The first keynote today was saying that developers, you're not going to be needed in like 3 years. I'm safe, I'm an academic, so I have a governmental job. I'm employed forever. I don't believe in that, though. I believe that generative AI is another tool in a developer's toolbox that's going to make you more productive and give you more options. And generative AI is just a new wave of AI systems. AI has been here for a while. We've all been working with it for a while. Have you ordered something on Amazon and gotten those weird ads for weird things that kind of relate to what you want? Yeah, well, that's AI. It's just a different kind of AI. And I would just want to say one thing. I'm here with you guys today. It is actually my 35th birthday today, so I chose to be here instead. So I've been promised cake tomorrow. I don't know if it's true, but my partner is going to give me cake tomorrow. But that's how important I think this topic is. So I'd rather be here and talk with you guys than eating cake. Most people, when they hear AI, I try always to use generative AI, because when they hear AI, they are in two camps. It's either this one. We're all going to be Wall-E characters lying on a stretcher, getting food served by robots and getting astronomically fat. Or they think about this one. The robots are coming to kill us. If anyone has seen ChatGPT sometimes, I don't think that thing is going to kill us anytime soon. But I still remember to say please whenever I wanted to do something. Anyone else do that? Good. Then the robot overlords know that we are the good people. But this is kind of the picture we've grown up with when we talk about AI. When I was very little, the first Terminator movie came out, and that was horrifying. The robots are coming, they're going to nuke us, and they're going to kill us. But the reality is quite different. We have chat interfaces. Well, granted, now OpenAI has made it cooler so you can talk to it. But we basically have this kind of thing where you ask stupid questions and get some answers back. My favorite example is, why is water wet? Because it's such a silly question, but it's also kind of interesting. First time I did it, I was like, this is actually cool. Now I use it in all my talks. And so I don't believe in those two camps. I think we're going to be in somewhere in the middle. AI is going to be useful for us. It's not going to make us lazy and obsolete, but it's also not going to kill us. And AI can revolutionize the world we live in, and specifically maybe first now for developers. I have an example. I've been doing this now for roughly 2 years since ChatGPT was launched. I have had way too many of these talks, but I've been very bad at doing what I preach. So all of my presentations are handmade by me. All of the research is manually done by me. I don't always do what I tell people to do. And that changed about a month ago. I kind of screwed myself over. So I booked 7 talks in 2 weeks. One was in 1 week, and the rest was in another week. And accidentally, the same week, I also arranged a conference. So we had a conference in Norway called AI Plus. I was on the committee that arranged that. And my AI council at my university that I work on which I'm also sitting on, we also decided to do a parallel track for that conference. So I had 7 speaking engagements plus a lot of other stuff, arranging conferences and so on. And then I got an email with, hey, we need 4 AI-based apps developed for this AI Plus conference. And you're the only one that we can ask. And I was like, oh, shit. When am I going to get time for this? 3 of them was easy. Image generator, API, done. A sticker generator, actually super cool. You generate AI images of stickers that people talk to the computer, generates a sticker, and we print it out. Super nice. It was very, very popular. And then the third one, also fairly easy, just let people talk to different interfaces, different APIs for the different chatbots. But the fourth one, that was my challenge that I never had time to start on. It was an application to record and transcribe all of our debates on day 2 of the conference. And it should also be transcribed, summarized, and an AI should present it from the stage. I didn't have time to do this. I was like, yeah, I'm going to find time. And then on day 1 of the conference, I still hadn't done it, and I had roughly 1 hour available that evening. So I just gave the challenge to ChatGPT. I said, make this for me. Well, I actually used Claude 3, because Claude 3 does better code than ChatGPT, and it actually made the app for me. I managed to test it on the first in the morning on day 2, and later that day, we used it for all of the debates. It was 5 debates. It transcribed, summarized, and presented the findings from all of the debates perfectly, except for one. It never translated it to English. Have you ever tried Norwegian speech, Norwegian text with an English text-to-speech model? Sounds hilarious. So one of them was a fail, but we can't win them all. And that's when I also, even though I've been talking about this for over a year and a half at that point, that's when I kind of realized, oh shit, this is actually super cool. I'm going to start using it more myself too. And GenAI is nothing new. AI in general is nothing new, as I said. My university has used this for 40 years. We've been developing algorithms with this for 40 years. Not me personally, I'm not 40 yet. But my colleagues have. And a lot of my colleagues, when this came out, ChatGPT was launched, the first thing they said was, bullshit in, bullshit out. This is never going to be good. And I think that was just because they were pissed that they didn't do it. Academics were very proud. And I was also pretty slow to start using this, but when I first did, I was, yes, this is cool. This is what I'm gonna do all of my time, spend all of my time on. Before that, I was doing autonomous robotics, but I kind of ditched all of that, stopped my courses, and started just doing AI. So I do this 100% of the time now. And about the talk is good to have like 10 minutes in, but I'm going to talk about how this can benefit developers, businesses, and maybe a little bit of everyone. I am, as I mentioned, an academic first and foremost, but I'm a big nerd and a tech enthusiast and a developer at heart. I also freelance developed for multiple years, so I do development. But we have some time constraints, so I'm not going to go super deep into things. I'm going to show more an overview of what's possible, both today and in the future. So, GenAI for developers. I believe it's going to be a very important tool in your toolbox. Of course, with some care you have to do. And as I mentioned, it's not something to replace the developers. Have you tried having ChatGPT do something logical? Sometimes you're lucky and it gives you a proper answer. Most of the time it gives you absolute crap. You have to prompt it, you have to do something with it, and that's where I think developers are going to come in more. People need to know how to talk to these solutions for them to be useful. And creativity and innovation. I know the stereotypical image of a developer is like a pimply nerd with glasses sitting at the computer, but I do believe that developers are instrumental in the whole life cycle of a project, which means also in the creativity and innovation aspect. And it can give you a lot of new opportunities on things to develop, but also how to develop those things. It's possible to be creative in a new way and not be limited by time constraints and people constraints, because that's often what it comes down to. And you can do new things that previously was too time-consuming, but now is possible because you have AI to help you. And this is from ChatGPT, but this is my phase one. The last 1.5 years, I've gotten very into cycling. I know I'm a big boy, but I was significantly bigger after the corona pandemic, and having a child that only would sleep on Papa, that I was just sitting there the whole day like, shh, sleep, please sleep now. So I gained a lot of weight. Lately, I've gotten into cycling, but as I mentioned, I'm a big nerd. So everything I do has to involve some kind of technology. And how did I solve that with biking? Well, I put sensors on my bike, of course. So first, I just put sensors and connected it to my watch, and I was like, I'm pedaling so fast now. It's awesome. But then I was, maybe I can do something with this. Maybe I can start looking at, can ChatGPT actually understand these files? Can it understand that, okay, I'm biking at this speed, and I have this cadence, which is revolutions per minute of your pedals. I get very nerdy into things when I start doing it. And can it then correlate, okay, at that area you biked slowly, and you had a low cadence, what can I do differently? Give me tips and tricks to how to increase my own speed and how to increase my own fitness. So I started doing that. Started logging the things on my watch. I'm an Apple nerd, if you didn't see. And then I downloaded it, exported it, and I imported it into ChatGPT and said, hey, give me some insight. And it actually gave me some cool insights. It told me that when I was pedaling the hardest, that's not when I had the highest speed. That was often when I was pedaling slower. That's weird. Then maybe I need to use my gears more. So now this is my pet evening project. I'm kind of trying to make this into an app so I can automatically get my data from my watch into this application and give me feedback after each ride. Obviously, I have kids. I have a second kid coming in a month, so time is not something I have, but it's something that could be very cool. So if someone wants to develop that, send me an email, and we can have a talk, because that would be super nice to have. Not because I want to earn money from it, but because I want the tips from my exercise. And of course, productivity. This is maybe the biggest one for developers. Well, I would say the biggest one is the creativity, but for most developers, it is productivity. AI can allow us to automate away a lot of the bullshit that we don't want to do every day. Who wants to write form validation the 100th time that week? Who wants to clean your data for the 100th time that week? No one wants to do that. Use AI for that. And I know there are some limitations and some practicalities like GDPR and so on, but I'm pretty sure we can solve that. We just need to start working on it. So instead of doing the same thing again and again, make AI do it. That's why we have AI. That's AI's jam. And of course, code snippets. Everyone knows this. I don't know why the picture is fussy. I saw it myself the other day. AI is very good at giving you random code snippets, like thing like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, but also GitHub, Copilot, Amazon, and all of the billion other services that come out. They're very good at doing that kind of thing. But things like documentation. Anyone here enjoy writing documentation for your code? No one. Yeah, me neither. And as I mentioned, I teach. I teach a lot of, now I only teach AI, but before I also taught a lot of coding. And my students, sometimes they were dumb. I know that this video is going out online, but it's fine. They know who they are. Sometimes they're very dumb. They need a lot of explanations for simple things. And what I started doing right after ChatGPT came, because then I was still teaching development, is I gave my code to ChatGPT, said, explain this like I'm dumb. And it did. It gave me a good explanation of it. And you can also do that, obviously not in ChatGPT for a whole code base, but with AI tools, you can do it for a whole code base. Give me an explanation of everything here. Give me a developer documentation and make it simple, make it understandable, and it will do it. So it's not just for students, but for everything. Because I personally would rather spend my time on doing things, building things, doing talks like this, than sitting there writing documentation, because that's super boring. Testing, of course, there's a lot of tools coming out now where you can have AI agents do the testing for you. You don't have to do the testing, and you can sleep soundly at night knowing that your code is going to work also in edge cases because AI tests everything. Because AI is a lot quicker than you and me at doing stuff like that. And the newest, fanciest thing for developers, coding agents. Who here has seen the video of Devin after launch? Some of you. So basically, Devin, and if you don't know, there's an open source version called Devika, super fun. Bring your own API keys and everything is honky-dory. You do have to hold his hand. But if someone doesn't know what this is, it's basically multiple versions of ChatGPT talking to each other. You give it a problem, make code for my cycling app, and you give it specifications, and multiple AI agents will talk to each other and figure out how to write this code and actually write the code, test it, and kind of push it, launch it. And per now, they're maybe not the best software engineers in the world, but they're getting there. And also something to keep in mind, I hope everyone knows that most AI models that are on the market today, like GPT-4 and also the models that power Devika and Devin, they were trained in 2020. Today is 2024, which means the new models that are coming out soon are going to be astronomically much better than the ones we have. Look at the leap Claude went through from Claude 2 to 3. It's not even the same model. And I think we're going to see the same with ChatGPT or GPT 4.5 or 5, whatever we get. And that is going to make this a such better solution. And in the same frame, multi-agents, just make your own multi-agents. This is a new pet project of mine. This is something I dream about at night, having time to set up this properly because it's super cool. Make your own solution for these agents. Give them a task. So, for instance, you can have a front-end developer AI. You can have a back-end developer AI. You can have a spec writer. You can have a project leader, you can have a documentation specialist, a test specialist, a QA. You can have as many of these bots you want, and you can teach them specific skills. You can give them specific information, RAG, and they can talk together. And if one of them disagree with the other one, they will talk with the third one, and then you get proper answers. This is how you get really, really good AI. And there are a lot of solutions for this out there. Microsoft have their AutoGen. It's a little clunky to use, but it is super fun when you start getting it working. I want to make one of these to write research papers, because my university get paid for research papers, so I want to make one of these that goes out and looks at all the unsolved questions and tries to solve them and write the papers and send them in. Then I don't have to do it, but I can still put my name on it, because I made the thing, which means I'm going to get a raise. And this is something that's going to be available very, very soon. And generative AI for business, because we're all, well, not me, you guys are probably all in this to earn money, because you work in a business to earn money. For the business, obviously, which means you need to think about this in a business experiment, in a business setting too. And experimentation. Like I mentioned, this is my first attempt at trying to get AI to write the code for my training app. I can just say that it failed epically. This solution does not work. It doesn't it doesn't run, just error messages. But AI gives you the opportunity to experiment, to do things quicker. Ask the AI to make you a demo app and make you a starter point, and you can get a lot of it done without having to think anymore about it, which means you're not restricted by time anymore. You can experiment, you can do new things. And that goes for business too. If businesses have, the biggest constraint in a business is time. You don't have time to take on every single project. Well, if you're a good business, that's your constraint. If you're a bad business, you don't get clients, so then you have a lot of time. But if you're a good business, you don't have enough time, enough people to take on every single project that comes your way. But with this, you can also experiment a lot quicker to do new and exciting things. I'm building, another thing, I'm building also a solution for my courses that it's kind of based on the one I talked about earlier, that will transcribe all my lectures and make it into a transcription, but also a summary and an article, and then go out online and find related articles related to what I'm talking about in the lecture, and automatically import that into the article so my students can get reference materials to look at. If someone wants to join in developing that too, please contact me, because I don't have the time, but I really want it. And of course, entrepreneurship. Solo developers can now be pretty effective at starting their own companies. Because you can get an AI accountant, you can get AI marketing team, you can have AI team members, you can get AI everything. Well, very soon you're going to also get an AI lawyer. How great is that? Because those are expensive. Which means you can be more productive and you can be more entrepreneurial yourself and earn money without having a big, big team. Productivity, I mentioned that earlier, but the increase in productivity from starting to use AI is astronomical. And if you can do that in the business, it will have a very big effect. Like I mentioned, I'm working on the thing for my class, but my university also working on a similar solution. I know that teams have that, but we're the government. We're not allowed to use Microsoft Office 365 Copilot because privacy and security. So we can't use that. So we're looking into automatically transcribing every meeting we have, so all meeting participants will know what was said, but also because we're the government, so there are rules that we have to share information about meetings if someone requests it. And that would make us a lot more productive, because now, in serious meetings, we have 1 or 2 people sitting there, typing on their computer everything we say, which is silly. It's bad use of time if you can make AI do it for you. And of course, cost savings. Who doesn't like to save money? As a business, you always like to save money. And I know this is a very specific thing, and I know there's a lot of no about it, but Klarna developed, for those who don't know what it is, an e-commerce solution. They developed an AI solution that replaced 700 customer service representatives. And yes, that is very bad. 700 people lost their job. Well, not fully 700, but almost. It's very bad, but it's something that's going to come sooner or later. And for that business, that saves them millions a year. So, of course, bad for the people that lost their job, I absolutely agree. But it is something that's coming sooner or later. That's also for us developers. I think a lot of junior developers are going to be in trouble. But people that really know what they're doing, senior developers, good established intermediate developers are going to be all safe. And of course, marketing. You can use this as marketing. Just don't do what they did here, because this became a big thing. Amnesty International, they published a photo of an activist in Colombia that was arrested. It was a human rights case. And the image was fake. Nothing is real here. So you have to be careful if you use this for marketing. But I know a lot of marketers, and they were among the first people to really embrace generative AI and be like, this is so cool. I don't have to work anymore. Of course they do, but yeah. And I always have to talk about this. Generative AI in education. I'm an educator, and I see nothing but positives about using Gen AI in education. Obviously, we're all in the EU. I don't know if anyone's seen the EU's new AI Act. It regulates everything that has to do with education as the top level, so you need a lot of paperwork to be able to do it, so you have to be careful. But what I say is that AI enables us to give education to everyone. So it will democratize education, because it can give you personal learning. So if you have dyslexia, or the language of the country you're living is not your native language, you can get help from AI because it can simplify things for you. It can make it available to everyone. And I always say it will pull down the language barriers. Some of the examples OpenAI just showed now, where you hold your phone and I could talk in Norwegian now. It will translate it to Dutch for you guys, or English for you guys, and when you answer me, it will translate it back to Norwegian. And that is the Babelfish, which is amazing. It's the best thing that could ever happen. What if we could all talk our native languages and understand each other perfectly? But also things like transcribing lectures for the hearing impaired. I have had students that are hearing impaired, and that is a real challenge, both for them and for me, because my main means of communication is my speech. But if I can then give them automated transcript in real time, that is going to change their life. And on the other side, for the people that are blind or visually impaired, you can explain graphs. Like, I have a picture here. If I could automatically explain that picture to someone that was sitting further back that was visually impaired and couldn't see the presentation, they would get a better presentation out of this. So I believe that AI technology can be such a positive for education. Most of my colleagues, not the machine learning colleagues, because they were like, oh, this is just bullshit, it's never going to work. But most of my other colleagues, the educator colleagues, they were like, oh no, this is going to destroy education, we're not going to have a job anymore. I was like, calm down, it's just going to help you do your job better. They're starting to come around to it now, but it took a while. But I think this is the best thing ever happening for education. And for society, what can society get out of this? Because this can have a very big effect on society too. It has the potential to increase the automation. Anyone here really wants to stand at McDonald's flipping burgers? Anyone want to change jobs to that? I don't think most people want to have that job. If we can automate it away, great. If we use AI to do it, even better. And we can do that with a lot of things. All of the mundane, boring, dangerous, and unwanted tasks we don't want to do, we can automate away to AI. I'm not talking generative AI then, I'm talking general AI. We can't have generative AI firefighters. It's just going to talk to the flames, that's not going to work. But when we keep going with this one, I don't know if you guys have seen NVIDIA, Google, everyone is working on generative AI for robotics. Some of those projects are so insane, it's so cool. And if you can use that to flip burgers, to put out fires, to go through mines, to look for people, to save people, police, even though that's regulated by the EU as not ever, I think it's going to come. And that will make our society better. And maybe at some point we can create a post-scarcity society where everyone has enough. If robots do all the jobs, we can just add more robots and we get more food, can't we? But also science and research. Global climate change. I know it's a divisive topic, but you guys here in the Netherlands should be very afraid of it because water, you guys all live under the water almost. But it is a thing. But if we can have AI agents work on that problem 24/7, how to optimize our electricity, how to do better, maybe we could solve it. There's a limit to how many people, how many humans can be, for instance, fusion power engineers. I personally am not smart enough to figure out fusion power. Anyone here feel up for the task, fusion power, anyone? But AI, if we train it properly, if we give it all the information we know about fusion power, maybe in 10 years it will solve it. Because you have 1 million of those bots working at that problem 24/7, no breaks, no food, no sleep, nothing. But also other things like data analytics. I'm working on a research project with some colleagues in our Department of Social Sciences. We don't often work with the social scientists. I'm a computer scientist, so it's, they want to analyze poverty data, but they want to do it with AI because there's a lot of text information and normal data analytics, like big data analytics, doesn't really work that well on text. So we're working on analyzing poverty in Denmark based on textual input from people that identify as poor. And that is something that could potentially help out to change that, make the problem go away. If we see a correlation, like in that city, so many more are poor than in that city. Okay, what is different about that city then? Which could have a very positive effect. And medical field. I've held a lot of presentations lately at University Hospital in Norway, because they are genuinely super interested in trying to make this work in their field. Obviously, there are challenges and problems. We can't send medical data to America because America. But if we can figure this out as maybe a European initiative, we could do something about healthcare. We could make sure that people are healthier. We could maybe find solutions to diseases that plague our world. But what the hospitals are actually mostly interested in is a helping hand. They are overworked, like most other businesses. They are overworked. They don't have enough time to treat their patient. They don't have enough time to do everything they're supposed to do. If they can get a generative AI, ChatGPT is amazing at diagnosing broken bones in x-rays. It can do it. It's not a problem. If the doctors can get that help, then they can spend more time. Instead of looking at the x-ray photos, they can spend more time with their patients, looking at the patients, talking with the patient, which is kind of primarily why they're there. So they are very interested in doing this. A colleague of mine, it was actually just published today, so that's not in my notes here, but a colleague of mine, he's working on a project to quicker find cancer cells in people and embolisms. That was published today. They just got some funding, so they're going to do a big project on that. And how amazing would it be if we could catch cancer in half the time we do now? A lot more people would be alive if we could do that. And GenAI and AI in general can help us do that. But as I said, there's obviously some concerns here. There are some genuine problems with the current generation of large language models and GenAI. The maybe biggest one is biases. If you prompt ChatGPT in the right way, GPT-4 is very political correct, but you can still get it to be astronomically racist. And that's not a good thing for a system that we're all supposed to use. And there are also a lot of sexism and that type of thing that these models have. So we as users, we as developers of applications that use this, we have to be very careful and make sure we take care of that so it never comes to the end user. But also politics. I don't know if anyone knows, but the different LLMs have different political opinions. So Meta's Llama is the most neutral one, and I think it's Claude that's more right-wing, and ChatGPT is more left-wing. One of them, they go to their different sides. And that can also be a big challenge. We're seeing a right-wing movement across Europe Europe in general, it's becoming more right-wing. And if the LLMs agree with that opinion, that might be a very big problem in the future. So we have to be sure that we catch that. Technology is not supposed to be political. It's supposed to be neutral. Which party do you like? I don't care, I'm a robot. I'm not going to live in this world, so I don't care. And that's what we're supposed to have, but unfortunately, that's not what we have today. And of course, also misinformation and hallucinations. I've gotten so many weird answers from ChatGPT where it hallucinates, like who was the first person to walk from Europe to the UK, and it actually comes up with some names. And last time I checked, there was an ocean there. So unless Jesus came back, we can't do that. And that is a hallucination because it thinks it has the answer because you ask who was the first, not did anyone. Which means it thinks it has the answer and it gives you an answer. It's absolute bullshit, but it gives you an answer anyways. And we have to make sure it doesn't happen. This is less of a problem, all of this is less of a problem with large language models that can access the internet. So the newest versions of ChatGPT, if you have a Plus Enterprise or Teams account, can access the internet before it gives you an answer. Perplexity and a lot of the other big companies will now access the internet. Misuse. The speakers before me were talking about deep fakes, and that is very true. A lot of people are using this technology for fraud. You can spam people quicker, you can send out phishing emails quicker because AI will automate it for you, and it's going to be language-wise correct. Whenever I get a spam email now, like a phishing email, and there are misspellings in it. I'm like, are you like a spammer from the 90s or something? Didn't you discover that AI could fix your problems? It would be so much more realistic if you did that. But it is still something that we have to be aware of. And of course, this thing. In the world right now, we have a few companies that are the gatekeepers of AI. Because the process of training an AI model from the ground up, it's not just expensive, it's just astronomically expensive, which makes it difficult for anyone to do it, which means the only companies that can do it is the elite few that has 5 billion euros worth of H100s from NVIDIA, big server rooms, and have the money to do this, which means there are a few select individual companies that own AI. And that is something that can potentially be a big problem for us in the future. Of course, there are open source solutions. You have the llamas and all of that, but that's also controlled by a big company, a big entity, and it's not really open source. If you are big enough, you can't use the llama models because then you have to pay Meta. So there are some genuine problems with that. They have a lot of control and they know it, and they can do whatever they want. Like, look at the case that just broke, that Scarlett Johansson, she didn't want her voice to be the voice of ChatGPT, but it is, because they were just like, nah, we're just going to clone your voice anyway, so it is the voice of ChatGPT now. And who's going to do anything? If they get sued, yeah, okay, they'll lose $100 million, but their valuation is, what, $65 billion? They don't give a crap. So that is a problem with the big companies that kind of has a stranglehold on AI. And of course, this job loss thing, I mentioned this with the cost savings. It is a genuine concern for a lot of people. Some consulting agencies are saying 400 million people around the world is going to lose their jobs by, 2030, I think they said. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. How are we going to give them food? But I am kind of in the other camp. I'm a techno-optimist. I think that, yeah, 400 million jobs might disappear, but I think 410 million jobs are going to appear in AI. So if you want to secure your job, be an AI specialist. It also pays very well, not in academia though, but yeah. And most technologies in history has resulted in a big change. It has resulted in people losing their jobs. But we're still here, aren't we? Because a lot of new jobs came out as a result of this new technology. So I'm not that afraid of this one, but you always have to keep it. And then the last challenge is this training data. How many here has a ChatGPT account? Well, it's actually not everyone. I'm impressed now. How many here has a ChatGPT Plus, Teams, or Enterprise account? Not the same amount. So for those of us that has a premium account, our data is not used. For you that has a free account, you are now the data set for AIs in the future. And that is a little sketchy. Obviously, that's the price of using the service for free. But more happens like this. Stack Overflow just signed a deal with ChatGPT, with OpenAI, to sell them all their data. Every single question and answer on Stack Overflow is going to go into the training data set of OpenAI. And if someone here has contributed to Stack Overflow, you just lost your right for that data. That just went to OpenAI. But they didn't create it, so there's an issue there. And the same is happening with GitHub Copilot now. I know a lot of developers have started taking away GitHub Copilot because turns out when you use GitHub Copilot, the resulting code, what you give GitHub Copilot, actually goes back to Microsoft so they can train their next version of GitHub Copilot. And if you're using Visual Studio Code with GitHub Copilot on a computer and you open your big repo from work, your whole data, everything for your project from work, a lot of that is going back to Microsoft. And do you really want Microsoft to have that? That's a big question. Obviously, personally, I don't give a crap. I just use it because I'm not working on anything secret anyways. But if you work for a bank, you might not want to use GitHub Copilot or any of the other AI coding solutions. Maybe use some local models. There are a lot of tools now to use local models for this instead, and that's worth trying out. Most developers have a decent computer. So I have 4 minutes and 38 seconds again. I have a timer here because else I go over time. And for the future, I would just say generative AI is here to stay. It's not going away. We can't, as the phrase is, we can't put the cat back in the bag. We can't close it up again. The cat is out. So it's not going to stay in the current form. It's going to change a lot, but there are no going back from this. So in some way or another, we all have to kind of get used to this, but we also have to start using it in an ethical and good way. And it is a new reality that we just have to adapt to. But I think that if we start using it in a productive, good way, we can get tremendous effect out of this. And agents, please everyone just look up AI agents and start experimenting with it, because I think this is going to be where we really, really see the difference in AI. Because you can have different AIs trained for different things, and they can agree before they give you an answer. And I think that was all I was going to say. If anyone has any questions, you're welcome to ask them. If anyone wants to keep the conversation going, you're welcome to email me. I made a new email, ai@lundsveen.com, for if you want to talk AI. And this is my LinkedIn profile. You're welcome to add me. Yes, question?
I want to share one thought about the slide about you starting to lose your jobs. So my point is about, do you remember Middle Ages when the whole village was working to serve just one of their kings?
Yeah.
King's family mates, and that was all that they produced, just to serve this one
Yes.
king's family. Now, after a few of this kind of let's say revolutions in our productivity, we have much more efficient time people spend on producing stuff. So I think we really start losing jobs, but people won't get hungry. We will just work less. So
Yes.
I even heard about some researchments about it, that in future 100 of years we're going to decrease the quantity of working hours per day from 8 hours a day to 2 hours a day. But people
Sounds good.
won't just get hungry or anything else. They will just work less.
Yeah. I absolutely agree with you. I love that you started with, do you remember the Middle Ages? I'm not that old. But yeah, I absolutely agree. This is just another revolution, another technology. So we've been through this since the start of humanity, and it's just changed how we do things, how we work. And like you said, maybe we'll go down to a 2-hour workday. That would be amazing. I don't think I'm ever getting there, but it would be amazing. So I agree. Yes, there are going to be job losses, but I do believe that they're going to be replaced, and we're going to find a way to make sure everyone has food.
Also, one thing about one insight from my company, my work in my company. So we recently investigated that around 25% of time spent on implementing a feature spent on describing it in TEQnation. That's numbers about it. So
Yeah.
once we're going to introduce AI generating our documentation, it's going to increase us at least at 25%.
Yes, I absolutely agree. When AI can do the stuff we don't want to spend time on, then we're going to have a lot better productivity. Anyone else has any questions? No? Then thank you all for being here and celebrating my birthday with me. It's always fun.